Guess who's had coronavirus? That's right, me. Really, I wanted to do a really quick video just to kind of tell you exactly what my experience of having COVID-19 was like. Before we get started and I talk about my experience living with the pandemic, make sure that you subscribe to this YouTube channel. It takes literally 2 seconds to go to the channel, click subscribe, click the notifications bell, and that way you're going to get video notifications about my latest uploads or my stand-up clips, and it gives me a tingly feeling in my willy knowing that people have subscribed. I did a gig nearly 3 weeks ago now, and on that gig it ended up that 3 people from the show who I had close contact with got tested for COVID-19 and came back positive. Around about 3 or 4 days after the gig, I noticed that I felt a little bit tired. I put it down to not really sleeping very well the night before, and I just assumed that I was gonna have an early night. I went to bed a little bit earlier. I took a couple of paracetamol and I just went to sleep. In the morning, early hours, I woke up and I was a little bit clammy, a little bit sweaty. And so I just assumed that the radiator had been on overnight or something, and I was a bit sweaty. And then I woke up in the morning, I felt a little bit groggy, so I had a couple more paracetamol, and then I just gradually sort of felt better. Didn't really think anything of it, to be honest with you. But what was weird, the symptom that really kind of made it obvious to me that something might not be right, is a couple of days later, I woke up, still feeling fine by the way, but with like a weird rash on the backs of my hands. It was like a weird red itchy rash, like little red dots, and I thought, well, that's not right. And I spoke to a couple of other people who tested positive at the gig that I'd been at, and one of them said that he'd had the same rash as well, and that was what made me want to go out and get tested. Originally, when I rang the NHS 111 service, they said that because I didn't have any of the classic coronavirus symptoms, the temperature, the breathlessness, the cough, the loss of taste and smell, they said that I wasn't allowed to be tested, which was a bit strange. But I ended up going online and just booking a test for later that day anyway, because I kind of had a feeling that something might be wrong. I did the test in the test centre, and I was the only person there, by the way, apart from the volunteers. And the test itself takes all of 2 minutes. You go into this big tent, you get a little bag, you sit down, you swab the back of your throat and your nostril, and then you pop it in a test tube, snap the end off, pop it in a bag, and then you leave. It's the quickest thing ever. And I got my results back pretty much within 48 hours, and I tested positive. By the time that I got my results back, I'd actually developed a little bit of a cough and a little bit of a feeling of breathlessness. But to be honest with you, it's no worse, for me personally, it's been no worse than a smoker's cough or something like that. You know, it's not been bad at all. Now, that's not to say that COVID is a hoax. I believe that it's very real. I'm just talking about my specific experience, that for me, it was very mild. And I think it's important to tell people that, because over the past year, there's been a lot of scare tactics in the media. And even when I was telling people that I had COVID-19, there were so many people that were telling me about their friends, brothers, neighbours, hairdressers, friend who had COVID-19 and was absolutely fine, and then woke up the next day and the arse had fallen out. Do you know, like, just ridiculous scare stories, you know, like, oh, well, my nephew's cousin's girlfriend's co-worker felt fine for the first 6 days, and then on the 7th day they exploded. And it plays with your mind a little bit, to be honest with you, because you start looking at every single thing that's happening and you start thinking, is this a symptom? I woke up one day, right? I woke up and, sorry to be graphic, but I had a shit.
Why does somebody not know how to flush a toilet after they've had a shit?
And then I went downstairs, made myself a coffee, and before I'd even had a chance to drink the coffee, my brain went, I need another shit.
Disgusting!
And so I'm sat having the second shit that I've had inside an hour, and in my brain I'm going, Is this a symptom? Is this COVID-19 getting worse? I'm sat on the toilet Googling double shit coronavirus to see if anything comes up. So I wanted to make this video really just to sort of tell people that, you know, yes, COVID-19 isn't a nice thing to get by and large. And yes, you should absolutely wear a mask and, you know, watch out for your symptoms and, you know, just kind of be mindful and socially distance and that. But if you do get it, there is a fairly good chance that you will either be asymptomatic or you will get very mild symptoms, depending on, of course, on your age and your health and that. But for me personally, if it wasn't for the positive COVID-19 test, I wouldn't have even known that I was ill. Oh shit, that might be the second wave coming up. One of the most annoying parts, actually, of having coronavirus, aside from everybody telling you that it's about to get worse and you're going to die, one of the more annoying parts is the NHS's track and trace system, which is fucking shit. When you get a positive result for COVID-19, you get it in a text message, and in that text there is a link that you click on, and you have to fill out this little form on your phone. It basically asks you where you've been the last few days and who you've been in contact with, and you know, that sort of thing. So I filled that out, and I you know, put in a few people that I'd been in contact with, and that was that. And then obviously the people that I'd been in contact with, they got asked to get tested, and they, when they came back positive, they also got the same link that they filled out, and they put me down as a contact because they have been in contact with me. Now, the system that is in place for track and trace, it isn't smart enough to go, oh, that's the guy that infected them originally, and for the information to kind of talk to each other. So what happens is it sets up different lines of inquiry. So I have one track and trace system for my positive COVID test, and then I have about 3 others for all the times that I've been listed as a contact, and the system doesn't group them all together. So I've been getting phone calls, text messages, sometimes 4 or 5 times a day, and they don't, all the information doesn't relate to each other as well. So I had a phone call literally 2 days ago, on the day that my isolation period had officially ended. I had a phone call from somebody telling me that it was day 7 of my isolation and checking up how I was. And I said, oh, well, no, actually, I finished isolating. And he damn near had an argument with me down the phone and threatened that he could fine me. And it's like, mate, I'm done. It's not my fault that your shitty system doesn't work. And you try and be nice as well, because you know that it's volunteers, and you know that, like, it's not their fault that the system's shit. I've tried to be so nice and say, look, please can you stop ringing me, because you're doing my head in. Please stop. You're like a needy one-night stand that keeps sliding into my DMs. Hey, you still isolating, hun? No, fuck off. That's pretty much been my experience. I'm over the other side now. As I am recording this, I am 13 days since my first symptoms, and they say to sort of monitor for the first 10. Generally speaking, everything was absolutely fine. The main thing that was difficult for me, and having spoken to a few other people that tested positive, the main thing that was difficult was managing the mental health aspect of it and worrying whether or not your symptoms were suddenly going to get worse, which is why I would recommend every single person who is worried about that sort of shit to get themselves a oximeter from Amazon. I'll put a link in the description to this, but it's basically a little £20 clip that clips right on the end of your finger like that, and it monitors your pulse, and it monitors the oxidization levels in your blood, which is a good way of testing whether or not you're going to be breathless and need to go to a hospital and things like that. I found myself, every time that I felt a little bit anxious or a little bit concerned that maybe, you know, my symptoms were suddenly going to get worse, I'd literally just clip this little 20 quid thing onto the end of my finger and wait for it to take a reading, which takes all of about a minute, and it would just kind of allay my fears and let me know that I am absolutely fine. And I felt that that really helped kind of keep a lid on the mental aspect of things. So I would definitely recommend that. Other than that, what else did I do to beat COVID-19? I made sure that I didn't drink any alcohol, which for me is difficult. I also made sure that I didn't drink any caffeine, any coffee in the morning. I pretty much stuck to water for a few days. I also had a couple of paracetamols every now and then, just to sort of make sure that I didn't develop a temperature or anything like that. And I also started taking vitamin D tablets, Holland & Barrett vitamin D tablets, and these were about £3 from the Holland & Barrett website, something like that. £3, £3.50. And like I say, 100 tablets for £3.50, and you take one tablet a day. So it is, yeah. It's pretty good value. Fucking hell. I just wanted to do the video, as it were, just to kind of give people a little bit of peace of mind. I'm not saying that COVID isn't serious. I'm not saying that, you know, you might not develop complications from it, but it's also worth noting that with all the scare stories in the media, there are also plenty of cases of people getting COVID, having very mild symptoms or no symptoms at all, like was the case with me, and coming out the other end absolutely fine. What did you think of, what do YouTubers say? Oh, let me know in the comments. What do you think of COVID-19? Is it a scam? Let me know. Don't let me know in the comments. Don't tell me in the comments, because I can't be arsed reading that shit. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel anyway. God, I feel like such a shit YouTuber. Make sure, hey guys, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, because if you don't, I'm gonna fucking hunt you down.